First, I want to thank the organization for allowing us to connect anything here other than a thumb drive. And I brought a lovely assistant to help out in changing the slides. And I think this topic actually fits within, of course, this session, but also attached to the previous talk, in that what we're trying to build here is systems which allow people to expand the knowledge and more broadly bring this knowledge to the world so that people can actually start acting on all this great information that's available. Slide. Right, so what people in real life really like is the fact that they know the weather in advance. And although this is actually a pretty complicated thing to do, people are starting to really take it for granted now. That they complain if the weather's off by an even small margin, because, well, it's easy, right? Just predict the weather for me so I know what to do, and then they can act on this. And now you can actually see people almost expecting this to work for weeks in advance. But I think it really shows that if you put this power in people's hands, that they really start acting on it. And what do you need for this? Well, you need, of course, measurements, because otherwise you don't know anything. You need to know what's going on, so you need knowledge of the system that you're trying to model. You need some kind of computing facility and a real computational model to run this, so you can actually do the numerics. And then you need somebody to be responsible for this. And I think for the weather prediction, this has been done really nicely. But now we want to do this, right? So we want to now predict floods, and hopefully in such a manner that people can themselves get this information and use this for whatever they can see of use, and maybe also allows them to do the sort of things like we heard in the previous presentation. And again, well, we have this picture of everything we need, and it's remarkably similar, right? So we can now actually start replacing this with more hydrological concepts. So instead of using these ground-based measurements, we want to use satellite data. Of course, our model will be different, but it's actually nice to see that the model that we now have is actually seems to be already pretty suitable to really start predicting. We seem to know what's going on now. And we still need all this computing facility. The models will, of course, be different, and they're but well, also these have been developed, and now it's actually getting hard to choose from all the different ones. And who will be actually running this is still, I think, up for debate. Although there are pretty some candidates. And I work in the eWaterCycle project, or we as the eScience Center try to support this project. And here we've been mostly focusing on really trying to improve these models now. As I said, up for debate. So now our system, what we're really trying to do is trying to make a system which we can really put together things in different ways. So we're not trying to build one system that does exactly one thing and then leave it at that. What we're trying to do is build a system which actually allows you to maybe change components and add things in some kind of easy way. And what we're also trying to do is really reuse some of the knowledge which has been developed, for instance, in weather predictions and other fields, because we feel that if we make this all single purpose for this one project, then it's kind of a waste. If we try to build on what other people have been doing and then let other people build on what we're doing, then this will really make such a thing go faster. So we're using GFS, so this is the actual system overview, to use as an ensemble forecast, which will feed forcing into our model. In this case, we're using the PCR-GLOBWB model. And then we do DA on this using OpenDA and satellite data. So we're assimilating soil moisture data. And then in the end, the output goes to the visualization that we made. And as I said, we're really trying to build on standard available things and not try to develop everything ourselves. So we promised a live demo. Which is always a tricky thing to do. I'm not sure how many people try to give live demos, but you get something which is known as the demo effect, that it always works except for this one time. Here we go. So what you can actually see here is the output of our running forecast. There's actually a timeline in the bottom if you can see it. And here you can really see the model forecasting. It's now running at 10 kilometer resolution, which is pretty okay, we think. And I must say that you know we spent most of our effort in actually getting this system to run and putting all the parts together and figuring out what parts we wanted to use. And the actual verification of what comes out is actually something still on the to-do list. So you know, don't look at your local area and then expect it to be correct.
This is data from today.
It is some people start doing quickly with this. And actually we have a couple of different things to show. So this is the real forecast running. And what we're actually trying to do is get this up to the same level of quality that the people that have developed the model. In Utrecht they're also doing in the normal model. If you look at the... There you go. So this is actually not a forecast, but it is just to show that that if we get enough, if we get all the data right and we feed it with all the necessary information, then this model will actually produce pretty nice results. But that's for a later time. Right. So as I said, what we're really trying to do is use existing systems and put these together and try to cooperate with people on getting applause, which is always nice. We love applause. And actually, in the end, there's quite a bit of engineering that goes into making these systems, but it's all. We think it's all doable, and it's all something we can really reuse some of the things people have been developing everywhere. And then, of course, the infamous is on our to-do list slide. And as you can see, it's a lot. So we've done most of the technical stuff in getting this system to actually run. So now we can actually do these predictions. Now we can actually start going forward and verifying if the results make sense, seeing if the data that we're using is correct, seeing if we can get access to better data, maybe couple it to different models if possible. And that's all I wanted to say.
Thank you very much for the talk and the demonstration. Are there any questions? What meteorological data is being fed into this?
So this is currently fed temperature and precipitation from GFS. Okay. So we're actually using an ensemble, and the ensemble was not available at the resolution we wanted to use, so we use a downscaling technique to get a slightly better quality.
We use the half degree deterministic, and we add to that the 1 degree perturbation from the deviations from the ensemble scale out, and then we use the half degree results to force the different ensemble members.
Thank you. Question? Yeah.
You started with explaining how people expect really valid forecasts these days for days ahead. How are you going to estimate your scale for days ahead? So how well are you going to see, how are you going to estimate how many days you can predict?
Well, I think it all depends on what you actually want to use the data for. If you were, varying people have varying requirements for how certain they want to be. But yes, it's a valid point that you have to really look into how are you going to. Well, for instance, how are you going to show people what uncertainty is? We've seen these plume type things, these ensembles at the Dutch television. But I think after a while they start using them less and less because people were getting confused. They don't want, some kind of, it will be within this and this. I want the actual measure for 3 weeks in advance. And I want it now. So, it's a hard problem.
What we do over here is opacity of the pixel scales with the uncertainty. So the further we go ahead in time, it's hard to see from here, but the more pixels will disappear in this forecast because we're uncertain about the discharge in these pixels.
Yeah. So I was, because clear, I mean, this is really a nice looking tool and you know, I guess designed with users also in mind. Have you already been working, this linking to what we heard from Erin, have you already been working with users to you know, to look at the kind of questions which they want to answer and see if this can be brought into the setup?
No, it's not something we've done yet, but yeah, it's definitely a good idea to do this.
Okay. Thank you very much.